Islam's ruling on marriage is based on justice, responsibility, and protection of society, not desire. Polygamy refers to the practice of having more than one spouse simultaneously. It exists either in the form of polygyny, having multiple wives, or as polyandry, having multiple husbands. While polyandry has been extremely rare throughout history, polygyny was a norm around the world for many centuries, and continues to exist on a very small scale even today. Although Islam prohibits polyandry altogether, polygyny is commonly associated with it. In an effort to malign the religion, some elements try to propagate that Islam mandates multiple wives for men, which is a blatant lie. Others erroneously claim that Muslim men have been encouraged to marry multiple women, which is also based on a superficial interpretation of Islam. In some societies, it is considered acceptable for men to make petty jokes about taking a second wife, which is against the spirit of Islam. Islam does not allow multiple husbands for women because it would create serious harm and confusion. Lineage, nasab, would be unclear. Inheritance rights would be disputed, and emotional and psychological injustice would likely occur. Islam places great importance on clear lineage, family stability, and dignity. Also, Islam does not burden women with arrangements that go against their natural, emotional, and biological well-being. So the rule is not favoritism, it is divine justice based on human fitra, nature, and societal balance. Moreover, it is medically proven now that one of the major causes of the serious diseases which have become widespread, such as AIDS, etc., is women having multiple partners. And the mixing of seminal fluids in the woman's womb causes these lethal diseases. Hence, Allah has prescribed a waiting period, known as iddah, for a woman who has been divorced or whose husband has died, until enough time has passed for her womb and passages to be cleansed of any traces of her former husband. And the monthly period also has a role to play in this matter. While Islam does permit men to marry up to 4 women, subject to certain conditions such as ensuring complete equality between the wives, it does not encourage them to do so. In fact, a study of the primary texts of Islam, the Quran and authentic Hadith, reveals that Islam actually discourages men from marrying more than one woman simultaneously. Let us analyze how. The following Quranic verse, which permits men to marry up to 4 women, was revealed after the Battle of Uhud, in which many Muslim men were martyred, leaving behind a large number of widows and orphans to be taken care of. And if you fear that you will not deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry those that please you of other women, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you will not be just, then marry only one. Al-Nisa 4:3. This verse makes it clear that even in the direst of circumstances, a man should marry only one woman if he feels that he may not be able to ensure complete justice between multiple wives. This is an important qualification because justice occupies a central place in Islam. It is obvious from this verse that polygyny can cause a man to become unjust, which has terrible consequences for him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, has issued an extremely severe warning against a man who has more than one wife and does not ensure complete equality between them. He said, "When a man has 2 wives and he is inclined to one of them, he will come on the day of resurrection with a side hanging down." For instance, spending the same amount of time with each of the wives, giving them identical gifts, taking them to the same places, and granting them the same attention, is likely to be beyond the capability of the vast majority of men. It is therefore best to avoid indulging in polygamy in order to be safe from the torment described in the above hadith.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, had 3 sons-in-law, Abu al-As, Uthman, and Ali. Like many of the other Sahaba, none of them married another woman while still being married to their first wife. The Holy Prophet's eldest daughter, Zainab, was married to Abu al-As, who became a wealthy trader in Makkah but did not embrace Islam for a long time. He did not remarry during the lifetime of Zainab despite living apart from her for several years after she migrated to Medina following the Battle of Badr. He was also pressured by his uncles and other influential men of Quraysh to marry other women considering his growing prosperity, but he refused to do so. He later migrated to Medina as a Muslim and was reunited with Zainab. The Prophet's second daughter, Ruqayya, was married to Uthman ibn Affan, who did not remarry during her lifetime, despite being a rich and successful merchant from one of the most influential clans of Quraysh. Following her death, the Prophet, peace be upon him, desired that his third daughter, Kulthum, be married to Uthman, and they both agreed. Again, Uthman did not marry another woman during the lifetime of Kulthum. The Holy Prophet's youngest daughter, Fatima, was married to Ali. Although Ali did consider marrying another woman, in keeping with the cultural norms of the time, the Prophet did not allow him. In fact, the Prophet, peace be upon him, at that moment praised another son-in-law of his, saying, "Whatever he said was the truth, and he promised me and fulfilled his promise. Bukhari 3:110. If polygyny were indeed a noble practice, the Prophet, PBUH, would have endorsed it by encouraging his own sons-in-law to remarry. When Ali considered a second marriage during the lifetime of Fatima, the Holy Prophet not only refused to allow him to remarry, but publicly spoke against such an arrangement. He firmly announced from the pulpit of his mosque, "Banu Hisham ibn al-Mughira have requested me to allow them to marry their daughter to Ali ibn Abi Talib, but I do not give permission and will not give permission. Unless Ali ibn Abi Talib divorces my daughter in order to marry their daughter, because Fatima is a part of myself, and I hate what she hates to see, and what hurts her hurts me." Bukhari 5:230. Following this sermon, Ali abandoned the idea of remarrying. This shows the undesirability of marrying other women based purely on the pain and distress it causes the first wife. Now let's have a look on Holy Prophet's own example. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, married life spanned a period of about 37 years, from the age of 25 until his death when he was 62. He spent more than two-thirds of this period being married to a single woman, Khadijah, his first wife, who was reportedly 15 years older than him. It was only after Khadijah's death that he married other women, all of whom except Aisha were either widowed or divorced. Some were both. His marriages were often motivated by his unique status as a messenger of God, responsible for the well-being of his ummah, and also sometimes by his position as a political leader. On more than one occasion, he married to provide protection to a convert, vulnerable to torture or forceful reversion at the hands of her hostile family or tribe. He also married to form closer alliances with certain tribes or clans, thus strengthening the position of Islam. In Islam, both the man and woman have the right to make lawful conditions in a marriage contract. One of the conditions that a woman can set forth is that her husband shall not remarry while he is married to her. This prevents the husband from engaging in polygyny. If he wants to marry another woman, he is obligated to divorce his first wife. Such a condition is legally and religiously binding upon the husband, the violation of which not only makes him sinful, but also entitles the wife to annul the marriage. To conclude, it would have been against the social order prevalent throughout much of human history to discard polygyny altogether at the time of the revelation of the Quran. Therefore, Islam did not outlaw polygyny, but sought to regulate and discourage it, providing the flexibility for Muslims to adapt to new social structures while staying within the bounds of Sharia with the passage of time.